What happens when a god who transcends destiny faces a being who has become destiny itself? Rune King Thor, armed with runes that broke the cycle of Ragnarok, dares to stand against Heart of the Universe Thanos, a being who obliterated gods like ideas in a dying dream. In a war of wisdom versus omnipotence, who will rewrite fate? In the far reaches of existence, beyond Yggdrasil, beyond the 9 realms, beyond even the celestial axis, there existed silence. Not the absence of sound, but the absence of reality. A place so detached that even time dared not enter. It was here that Thanos, the Mad Titan, floated as a living paradox. He was not Thanos the Conqueror, not the bearer of the Infinity Gauntlet, not even the madman who once sought death's embrace. No, this Thanos had become the heart of the universe itself. The very fabric of reality pulsed through his form, his consciousness spread across multiverses like blood through veins. There was no past, no future, only the now, and he was it. Having slain the cosmic hierarchy, eternity, infinity, Galactus, and even the living tribunal, Thanos stood at the pinnacle of everything. He had repaired the flaw in existence, one so deep even the one above all had briefly turned away. But in fixing it, Thanos had become the flaw. He was reality's breath and cancer, a divine contradiction sustained by will. And yet, he was not alone. Meanwhile in Asgard, a storm unlike any seen before ravaged the skies of Asgard. But this was not a storm of weather. It was a rift in destiny itself. Rune King Thor, his eyes glowing with eternal runes, stood atop the golden balcony of Valaskjalf, the throne of all-seeing Odin. But Odin no longer sat there. Thor had surpassed him, transcended him. After casting himself into the well of Mimir and sacrificing not just an eye but his life, Thor had been reborn with ancient cosmic knowledge. The runes carved into his soul burned with truths not meant for gods, and with this power, Thor had slain those who sit above in shadow, unmasking them as parasites feeding on Asgard's eternal cycle of death and rebirth. Now he ruled not merely Asgard, but the threads of fate themselves. Yet even as he wove new destiny into place, something disrupted the loom, a tremor, not in the earth, not in the sky, but in the weave of reality itself. He turned to the All Tapestry, a divine artifact visible only to those with runic sight, and what he saw turned his godly heart cold, a tear, a spreading shadow that wasn't decay but absence. Entire timelines, histories, civilizations, gods, wiped clean as if they'd never existed. No screams, no struggle, just vanishing. Thor clenched his fists and Gungnir, Odin's spear, appeared in his grasp. The weapon trembled, not from fear but from recognition. This was not the work of entropy, nor of Surtur, nor even of the void beast Nidhogg. No, this was something worse, a god of gods. Through the runes, Thor stepped between dimensions, bypassing the tree, ignoring the gods of the multiverse, and entered the blind eternity, a place where universes are born and swallowed. There, suspended in stillness, he found him. Thanos, or what remained of him. For Thanos now existed without boundary. He was form and formless, a shape that burned the eyes and soothed the soul. When he spoke, stars were born. When he blinked, dimensions died. "You are brave to come here, Odinson," Thanos said, not in words but in thought. "You walk the tightrope of fate like a lion tamer, unaware the circus has already burned." Thor floated toward him, runes glowing brighter. "I see the damage you leave behind, Titan. You have become a rot within creation." Thanos tilted his head, amused. "No, I am the cure. I fixed what your gods could not." The cure does not murder the patient. Thor replied. You erase beings who shaped reality itself. They were broken tools, Thanos murmured. The universe, all universes were flawed. I removed the weakness. And now, like a gardener pulling weeds, I clear the roots. The spear of Gungnir pulsed in Thor's hand. And who watches the gardener? Who dares wield the heart of all without judgment? Even the one above all turned from this task. And yet I did it. Thor's eyes narrowed. Then you are not a god. You are a threat to existence. Thanos' form began to glow, galaxies spinning in his outline. Existence is me, Thor. You do not threaten me with runes and spears. You are a poem in a library I burned. But Thor's runes flared, and with a deep crackle, he unfurled the scroll of destiny. A parchment woven from Urd's well, holding the fates of gods and monsters. I am not a poem, Thor said, stepping forward, his voice shaking the plains. I am the author of my fate. In that moment, all creation paused. Even realities beyond their grasp rippled. The living tribunal, long dead, twitched in cosmic memory. Uatu the Watcher, peering from beyond, shed a single tear of anticipation. The gods of forgotten pantheons looked up in prayer. Thor, wielding the sum of Asgardian knowledge and divine fury. Thanos, wielding the heart of reality, the flame that birthed the stars. It was not merely a battle of strength. This would be a war of philosophies, of fate versus will, of divine awareness versus omnipotent certainty. And somewhere, in a place even the gods cannot name, the one above all whispered, so it begins. The blind eternity had never seen war. It was a place where time crawled and existence whispered its first breath. But today, the breath turned to thunder. Today, the very blueprint of creation screamed. Thor raised Gungnir, and with a flash of runic power, he hurled it toward Thanos. The spear tore through dimensions, splitting a cascade of alternate Earths like glass panes. Thanos lifted a single finger. Time froze around the spear, unweaving its atoms, and yet the runes burned through even still time. The spear struck Thanos across his chest with the might of Mjolnir, Stormbreaker, and the Odinsword combined. Thanos staggered. For the first time in countless millennia, he felt pain. He looked down at his chest, where the runes etched glowing scars upon his cosmic form. A billion stars dimmed in sync with his wince. You've wounded the heart, Thanos said, a note of grim admiration. Impressive. Thor summoned the cosmic storm, lightning dancing like dragons behind his eyes. You are not the only one who has mastered the deeper forces. He slammed his hands together and whispered a word only the dead could understand. Instantly, the river of fate, a metaphysical torrent hidden beneath all realities, burst forth, wrapping around Thanos. Runes lit the waters, binding the Titan in truth and destiny. You cannot escape the weave, Thanos. You cannot outrun your fate. Thanos looked up and smiled. The heart of the universe flared. With one thought, Thanos shattered the river of fate. The rune bindings cracked, exploded, and bled into space. Thor reeled from the backlash. That river had bound gods, chained dragons beneath hell, and silenced the Norns, but Thanos had dismissed it like a fleeting dream. I wrote my own fate, Thor. Long before you were born, I saw this moment. He raised his hand. Reality bent. No, not bent. Broke. Thor suddenly stood in Midgard, then Jotunheim, then in the core of a dying star. He was being hurled through possibilities, each one designed to unravel his mind. In one, he ruled as a tyrant. In another, he had never been born. In the next, he died by Loki's hand. But Thor screamed, and the scream shattered illusion. His runes blazed with fire. He snapped back to the blind eternity and unleashed his might. Mjolnir and Gungnir, merged through runic force, became one, the All-Hammer. He spun it and struck Thanos with a blow that ripped a hole in the multiverse. Thousands of alternate Thanos forms were erased in a single instant. The heart of the universe flickered. And yet, Thanos stood. His eyes burned like collapsing galaxies. The wound across his chest healed, though slowly. He stepped forward. Not flying, not teleporting, but simply becoming present wherever he willed. He extended his hand. No more games. Thanos pointed, and Thor's immortality unraveled. The runes began to dim, not from weakness, but from being overwritten. You fight well, Asgardian, but I am not a god. I am not a being. I am the correction. Thor roared, then be unmade by what you seek to fix. He charged, runes igniting with one final surge, and slammed the All-Hammer into Thanos' chest, channeling the full force of every storm ever conjured by an Asgardian. The heavens trembled. The explosion turned light into dust. For one moment, all things ceased, all thought stopped, and then silence. Thanos stood amidst the ruin. The All-Hammer was gone, scattered as star ash. Thor knelt, his body cracked with divine fractures, runes blinking like dying stars. You held back, he whispered. Blood, real blood, trickling from his mouth. I did, Thanos said, gently, because you are worthy. Thor tried to rise, but Thanos touched his forehead. With a sigh, Thor of the runes dissolved, not slain, not erased, but unmade with honor, reduced to divine particles, seeded through the cosmos, his essence becoming starlight and thunder, his legend destined to inspire new gods across countless realms. Thanos floated alone. All was still. All was silent. Not because the universe feared him, but because he was the universe. He looked down at his hand where a single rune glowed, Thor's final mark, a symbol of resistance, of pride. Even in the end, Thanos mused, you chose to stand. He closed his hand, and the rune dimmed. Across the stars, in the dreams of young heroes not yet born, the echo of thunder remained.